Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News on India's Voice to the World. I'm Prasar Bharati. Coming up in the next hour. Israel claims killing Hezbollah chief Nasrallah. Says Hassan Nasrallah will no longer be able to terrorize the world. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to address high-level session of 79th United Nations General Assembly in New York. Meets world leaders on sidelines of UNGA. Support for India's claim for permanent UN Security Council seat increases after US, France, UK, Bhutan and Portugal also back India's bid. Vice President and Democratic candidate Kamala Harris visits US border with Mexico, calls for more immigration control at border. First up, news from West Asia. Israel Army on Saturday claimed that Hezbollah chief Nasrallah has been killed. In a post on X, the Israel Defense Forces or the IDF said that Hassan Nasrallah will no longer be able to terrorize the world. The Israeli military said Hezbollah leader Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah was killed in an airstrike on the group's central headquarters in the southern suburbs of Beirut on Friday. Hezbollah has yet to issue any statement on the status of Nasrallah. The Israeli Army's chief of staff stated that it had not exhausted its toolbox with the targeted killing of Hezbollah chief Nasrallah. Listen in.
This is not the end of the toolbox. It should be very clear that there are more tools we can use ahead. The message is a simple one. Whoever threatens the citizens of the state of Israel, we will know how to get there in the north, in the south, even in more distant places.
All right, and DD India correspondent Akshay Dongre is joining us from New Delhi to give us more inputs on this. Akshay, Hezbollah chief is killed. This is what Israel is claiming. What is the entire story? Can you just give us some updates on it?
Well, in the past few days, Siddharth, we have seen that the Israeli Defense Forces have intensified their attacks against Hezbollah targets in the southern parts of Beirut and Lebanon. And from what we have been seeing, precision-guided ammunition, precision-guided bombs have been used to target the targets that have been identified by the Israeli Defense Forces. One of the target was the headquarters of Hezbollah, that is in the southern part of Beirut as well. And according to the IDF, Hassan Nasrallah, who is the chief, who in fact has been the chief of Hezbollah, the armed outfit that has been operating from Lebanon, was present there. He was in a meeting during which an attack was carried out by the Israeli Defense Forces using missiles to flatten that area. And though there is no confirmation that has come from Hezbollah, the Israeli Defense Forces have claimed that they have killed Nasrallah, the chief of Hezbollah. Now, it is quite interesting to note that the predecessor of Hassan Nasrallah, who was Abbas al-Musabi, he was also killed by Israel. And in the same kind of modus operandi, the attack was carried out by aerial methods. And in 1992, Abbas al-Musabi was killed by the Israeli forces, and similar kind of technique has been used to target the current Hezbollah chief as well. While there is no confirmation, but if the claims that have been made by the IDF are true, then this clearly can be a turning point as far as the conflict between Israeli Defense Forces and Hezbollah are concerned. We have seen in the past few weeks that be it the pager attacks that have been carried out against Hezbollah, the walkie-talkie blasts that have taken place, or the other kind of aerial bombings that have been done by the Israeli Defense Forces have inflicted a significant amount of damage on the Hezbollah fighting capabilities. And under the current leadership of Nasrallah, while Hezbollah has been trying to be mobilized with support from Iran as well, if the chief of Hezbollah has been killed, then it is going to cripple the capabilities of Hezbollah, and it is highly unlikely that the group will be able to mobilize as it has been planning to do, in the past few days. Now, it is quite important to note that it is under Hassan Nasrallah that Hezbollah has been trying to up its inventory, be it the long-range missiles. In fact, it was Hassan Nasrallah's leadership under which Hezbollah actually acquired these long-range rockets that have been extensively used against Israel, be it the occupation of Israel of the southern parts of Lebanon that went on for 18 years, and only in 2000 Israel withdrew from the southern Lebanon, and that the credit was given to Nasrallah's leadership to carry out to carry out a fight against the Israeli occupation of that particular territory. But with Nasrallah gone, it is going to be a turning point, not just as far as the Hezbollah is concerned, but the entire war that has been going on for almost 1 year now. Back to you.
Okay, Akshay, but you have said it right. It is in fact a major blow to Hezbollah, but no statement so far has come from Hezbollah, right?
Well, absolutely, yes. No statement has come from Hezbollah as of now. So there is no confirmation whether Nasrallah has been killed by the bombing that was carried out by the Israeli Defense Forces. But the claims of the IDF are that Nasrallah has been eliminated. He has been killed in the aerial bombings that were done. And it is only after an official statement coming in from Hezbollah there can be a confirmation about this claim that has been made by the Israeli Defense Forces.
All right, we leave there. Thank you so much, Akshay Dongre, for giving us those details and for your analysis as well. A series of blasts hit Beirut's southern suburbs on Friday and early on Saturday, sending huge clouds of smoke soaring above the densely populated area. The Israeli army also claimed that its airstrikes killed Mohammed Ali Ismail, the commander of Hezbollah's missile unit in southern Lebanon, and his deputy, as well as other senior officials. The strikes were followed by a second bombing hours later, which Israel's military said targeted Hezbollah weapons stored in buildings in the area. The Israeli army said that it would attack all strategic locations of Hezbollah, urging residents to evacuate the area.
As part of the extensive aerial operation to degrade Hezbollah's terrorist infrastructure and capabilities, we are preparing to conduct strikes on strategic assets that Hezbollah has hidden underground beneath 3 buildings in the heart of the Dahia in Beirut. Over the years, Hezbollah has developed an anti-ship missile arsenal supplied by Iran. Hezbollah has both threatened and, in the past, carried out attacks on maritime global shipping route.
Meanwhile, Hezbollah claimed that it had fired a salvo of rockets on the city of Safed in Israel, its first announced attack since Israeli strikes hit the southern suburbs of Beirut hours earlier. The Israeli army reported that 65 projectiles were detected crossing from Lebanon into northern Israel. According to Israeli paramedics, one rocket damaged a house, but no casualties were reported. Meanwhile, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called for an immediate ceasefire in Lebanon, stressing that a full-scale war must be avoided at all costs. Guterres was speaking at United Nations Security Council meeting on Friday.
War in Lebanon could lead to further escalation involving outside powers. I fully support the proposal for a temporary ceasefire allowing for the delivery of humanitarian relief and paving the way for the resumption of serious negotiations for a durable peace across the blue line. We need this ceasefire now. We cannot afford endless negotiations as we have on Gaza. We must avoid a regional war at all costs. Gaza remains the epicenter of the violence, and Gaza is key to ending it.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that the choices all parties in the West Asia in the coming days will determine which path the region takes and have profound consequences for years to come. On the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly, Antony Blinken said Washington has made clear it believes the way forward is through diplomacy, not conflict.
The events of the past week and the past few hours underscore what a precarious moment this is for the Middle East and for the world. The United States has made clear along with the G7, the European Union, partners in the Gulf, so many other regions, that we believe the way forward is through diplomacy, not conflict.
All right, joining us on the broadcast is Mr. Alok Bansal, Director, India Foundation, to talk more on what is happening between Israel and Hezbollah. Sir, first of all, a very warm welcome to the broadcast. Israel has claimed the killing of Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah. One thing which is clear, this is certainly a substantial blow to the group. However, there is no statement issued by Hezbollah yet. How do you see this scenario at a time when tensions between them are on the boil?
See, firstly, if Nasrallah has actually been killed, then this is actually a big achievement for Israeli Defense Forces, because Nasrallah was key to the functioning of Hezbollah. And we have seen in the past that many strong organizations have dissipated once the leadership was eliminated.
Okay.
Whether this happened in the case of Hezbollah is still debatable. Obviously,
Sir, debatable because no statement has come out from Hezbollah yet?
Undoubtedly. No, that reason is because Hezbollah would not want to acknowledge it till they are certain of it, because, as I said, this is because Nasrallah was so central and privy to Hezbollah that an announcement that he's been eliminated could weaken the organization. So organization would first take stock, probably come up with a successor, and then only make an announcement that he has actually been eliminated. So that's one of the reasons why we are not getting an input from them. Because just an announcement that he's been eliminated without a successor will create problems for the organization.
Okay, that is the core reason which you think that why the statement is not coming from Hezbollah yet, because they'll first elect their successor and then they'll announce. This is what you are saying, that this could be the scenario.
Because what happens is, in this particular case, like you've seen in many other places, like LTT, the organization revolves around the leader. And the leader's elimination could actually severely jeopardize the organization. So they would have a meeting, decide how to go about it if actually Nasrallah has been killed, and then they will come out how they're going to function. They'll first reorganize, then announce the thing, and then probably take it forward.
Mr. Bansal, but do you think it's going to be an easy task for Hezbollah? Because someone who has led this organization for 32 years is a big thing, and electing a successor would take time. So you're saying that they will not come out with the statement till the time they'll elect the successor, but don't you think it will take time?
It will take time. They may have a system where there may not be one successor. There may be a council or something, an organization will run. So that will have to be worked out, because see, that's what I said. His elimination will create a void that will be very difficult to fill. And that would create a severe weakening of Hezbollah. Of course, there is no doubt that Hezbollah would respond to Israel, and we are already seeing, I think, certain rockets being fired at Israel. They will continue for a certain period of time. But this would aggravate the conflict in the near run. There is no doubt in my mind that it would create a problem. And let's see how it goes. But at the moment, Hezbollah, if
has got a major blow,
really been has got a very, very major blow. How Israel functions thereafter, how Hezbollah responds, is still a question mark. But it doesn't seem that Israeli state is at the moment keen on ending the war. It seems they're aggravating this and expanding the arena of conflict from Gaza to Hezbollah in Lebanon, and now maybe it might go further to, and this could
so there is no cooling. So there is no cooling down here. There's no cooling down as of now, according to you.
Because see, the immediate reaction, irrespective of how much a body blow to Hezbollah has been done, is that they are bound to retaliate, because they have to redeem some sort of an honor, some sort of a thing. The leader has been eliminated. So there will be some attack. There will be obviously some problems for Israel in the near run. But at the moment, the Israeli strategy seems to be to weaken all these groups which have been anti-Israel for long, and also ensure that the conflict continues unabated, at least in the near future.
Mr. Bansal, I got it. I got it. Mr. Bansal, do you think this will change the geopolitical landscape in Middle East? And if you think so, then how?
See, if Hezbollah is weakened, and which is quite likely, then it would change the geopolitical landscape in Lebanon. Please understand, in Lebanon, Hezbollah has ruled the roost for a very long time. Lebanese state has actually been dysfunctional because you have an army within a state, and that's actually functioning more powerful than the state itself. So if Nasrallah's elimination weakens Hezbollah, then it may probably provide a chance for Lebanon and its state to consolidate, various ethnic groups to come together. And of course, Hezbollah was also a big support for Syrian regime. So Hezbollah's weakening could also impact Syria to some extent. And of course, if Hezbollah really weakens, then Israel could breathe more freely, because of all the terrorist outfits that were targeting Israel, Hezbollah was the most powerful, and it had actually blunted Israeli offensive in Lebanon in the past. So it was the most powerful of these entities which were actually confronting the Israeli defense forces. And Nasrallah's elimination could be a real game changer.
Definitely. Killing of Hassan Nasrallah, if it's true, is a major blow to Hezbollah, like you were also mentioning. And what happens next, we'll only get to see when the things will unfold and a statement comes from Hezbollah. But as of now, thank you so much, sir, for joining in on the broadcast. It was a wonderful conversation with you. Still to come on DD India NewsHour. Former US President Donald Trump met Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. India once again slammed Pakistan at a global stage. What happened? Stay with us, we'll tell you. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman signs new bilateral investment treaty between India and Uzbekistan in Samarkand.
Is foreign interference becoming the biggest threat to democracy worldwide?
Human mind is being hacked. How it is being hacked is by sowing those seeds of doubt in the leadership.
This falls in the domain of grey zone warfare, where even before the information age, there always was foreign interference in elections.
It is Cold War 2.0, force multiplied with digital technology, and then reaching out to each and every individual voter.
On multiple hats in the Indian sports bodies and the international sports bodies.
It's for India is very, very important for us, and it's not only to me but for the country.
To act as a catalyst to put yoga on a different level.
It's a pet project as far as the Prime Minister is concerned. He himself is very keen on yoga and is always there promoting yoga.
You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Vice President and Democratic candidate Kamala Harris visited US border with Mexico. Harris arrived in Arizona, a border town of less than 17,000 people, on Friday. She walked alongside a stretch of border wall built during Obama's presidency to stop illegal immigration. In her first visit to the international boundary since becoming the Democratic presidential nominee, Harris talked with local border patrol leaders. Later, she also called for further tightening asylum restrictions. Immigration and border security are top issues in Arizona, the only battleground state that borders Mexico. Some 7 million migrants have been arrested illegally crossing the border under Harris and Biden rule, a record high number that has fueled criticism from Trump.
Reduce illegal border crossings. I will take further action to keep the border closed between ports of entry. Those who cross our borders unlawfully will be apprehended and removed and barred from re-entering for 5 years. We will pursue more severe criminal charges against repeat violators. And if someone does not make an asylum request at a legal point of entry and instead crosses our border unlawfully, they will be barred from receiving asylum.
Former US President Donald Trump campaigned in Michigan on Friday, where he criticized Vice President Kamala Harris over immigration issues and the economy. The former president also blamed Harris and US President Joe Biden for releasing real rough people into US, adding that the small number of jobs created were taken by illegal immigrants.
We had the best numbers we ever had 4 years ago, and now we have the worst numbers in the history of the world, not just this country. At least 21 million people came in during their term, and as we just said, a lot of them are real bad people, real rough people. But they're also taking a lot of jobs from Americans, probably happened with you. And as the small number of jobs they created were all taken by illegal immigrants in the last short period of time, and we're going to make that change. You look like it'd be great. I'd like to have you make the motor, the engine, the motor of my car any day. But unlike Kamala, who always complains and doesn't do anything, I keep saying, why don't you do...
Donald Trump met Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Friday. Trump pledged to swiftly end the conflict in Ukraine if he secures a second term in office. Trump's meeting with Zelensky comes after he criticized the Ukrainian leader on the campaign trail.
So I appreciated that. So we have a very good relationship, and I also have a very good relationship, as you know, with President Putin. And I think if we win, I think we're going to get it resolved very quickly. I really think we're going to get it resolved.
I hope we have more good relations.
We're going to have. Oh, I see. Yeah, but you know, it takes two to tango. You know, and we will. We're going to have a good meeting.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar will deliver a speech in 79th United Nations General Assembly on Saturday. The theme for the general debate is Leaving No One Behind, acting together for the advancement of peace, sustainable development and human dignity for present and future generations. Dr. S. Jaishankar chaired the BIMSTEC informal foreign ministers meeting in New York. In the meeting, India took stock of close cooperation in health, food security, trade, investment, economy and energy. The meeting also focused on improving physical, maritime and digital connectivity across the region and explored opportunities for capacity building, skill development and improving people-to-people ties. Dr. Jaishankar reaffirmed India's commitment for wider engagement with BIMSTEC in line with Neighbourhood First, Vision Saga and Act East policy. Dr. Jaishankar also co-chaired the India CARICOM foreign ministers with his counterpart from Dominica, Dr. Vince Henderson. The discussions focused around upgrading the partnership and deepening cooperation in health, IT, fintech, capacity building, renewables and food security. Dr. Jaishankar said India's bonds with CARICOM draw from past experiences, address current needs and aspire towards a brighter future. Further, Dr. Jaishankar co-chaired India CELAC foreign ministers meeting alongside Honduras Secretary of Foreign Affairs Eduardo Enrique Riena in New York. The minister also met world leaders on the sidelines of UNGA. The minister shared the highlights of his day at UNGA. Take a look. The 79th session of UN General Assembly is witnessing more and more countries coming forward to support India's decades-long push for a permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council. Bhutan's Prime Minister Tshering Tobgay has joined leaders of the US, UK, France and Portugal in voicing support for India's bid for a permanent UNSC seat. During his address at UNGA, Prime Minister Tobgay said India, with its significant economic growth and leadership in the global south, deserves a permanent seat at the Security Council. He also thanked India for being a development partner.
Bhutan has long advocated for the reform of the Security Council to make it more representative and effective. For this, India, with its significant economic growth and population and leadership of the global south, deserves a permanent seat at the Security Council.
At UNGA address, Portugal PM Luis Montenegro also backed India's bid for being a permanent member of the UNSC.
On another front, we are in favor of reforming the United Nations Security Council to make it more representative, agile and functional. Its composition is outdated, and the absence of representatives from some regions hampers its functioning. Portugal supports the African Common Position and the aspirations of Brazil and India to become permanent members.
India once again slammed Pakistan at a global stage. Addressing United Nations General Assembly, Indian diplomat Bhavika Mangalanandan said that Pakistan has a global reputation of terrorism, employed cross-border terrorism as a weapon against its neighbor.
A country run by the military with a global reputation for terrorism, narcotics trade, and transnational crime has had the audacity to attack the world's largest democracy. I speak about the reference to India in the speech of the Pakistani Prime Minister. As the world knows, Pakistan has long employed cross-border terrorism as a weapon against its neighbors. It has attacked our parliament, our financial capital Mumbai, marketplaces, and pilgrimage routes. The list is long. For such a country to speak about violence anywhere is hypocrisy at its worst.
Referring to Pakistan, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif's speech at UNGA, India pointed out that how Pakistan is using terrorism to disrupt elections in Jammu and Kashmir.
It is even more extraordinary for a country with a history of rigged elections to talk about political choices, that too in a democracy. The real truth is that Pakistan covets our territory and in fact has continuously used terrorism to disrupt elections in Jammu and Kashmir, an inalienable and integral part of India. A reference has been made to some proposal of strategic restraint. There can be no compact with terrorism. In fact, Pakistan should realize that cross-border terrorism against India will inevitably invite consequences.
India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman addressed the Indian diaspora in Tashkent, Uzbekistan. She expressed a deep sense of connection between India and Uzbekistan in terms of heritage, culture and people-to-people connect. At the event, Finance Minister also lauded the role of Indian diaspora who played crucial role in building and fostering the bond between two nations. Earlier on Friday, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman signed a new bilateral investment treaty between India and Uzbekistan in Samarkand. Sitharaman emphasized the vast trade opportunities between India and Uzbekistan and pushed for increased trade. She urged the chambers of commerce of both countries to create a roadmap to achieve the $3 billion trade target set by the leadership of the two countries. Further, she said that the newly signed BIT between both the countries is based on modern international investment standards, provides strong protections to investors on both sides, fostering an atmosphere of trust and confidence. And still to come on DD NEWSHOUR. Political parties intensify campaigning for the third and final phase of assembly elections in India's Jammu and Kashmir. In the United States, death toll from Hurricane Helene rose to at least 44.
Is foreign interference becoming the biggest threat to democracy worldwide?
Human mind is being hacked. How it is being hacked is by sowing those seeds of doubt in the leadership.
This falls in the domain of grey zone warfare, where even before the information age, there always was foreign interference in elections.
It is Cold War 2.0, force multiplied with digital technology and then reaching out to each and every individual voter.
You're watching DD NEWSHOUR. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. And a quick recap of the headlines. Israel claims killing Hezbollah chief Nasrallah, says Hassan Nasrallah will no longer be able to terrorize the world. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to address high-level session of the 79th United Nations General Assembly in New York meets world leaders on sidelines of UNGA. Vice President and Democratic candidate Kamala Harris visits US border with Mexico, calls for more immigration control at border. And in Jammu and Kashmir, the third and final phase of assembly elections will take place on 1st of October with 40 constituencies heading to the polls. Senior BJP leader and Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed a rally in Jammu today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi recalled the government's strong response to cross-border hostilities, contrasting it with the previous Congress government.
साथियों, आपको याद होगा आज 28 सितंबर है। साल 2016 में आज की रात 28 सितंबर की रात सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक हुई थी। भारत ने दुनिया को बता दिया था ये नया भारत है, ये घर में घुसकर मारता है।
272 candidates from major parties like the BJP, National Conference, People's Democratic Party and Congress are contesting in this crucial election, the first since the abrogation of Article 370 in 2019. The counting for the assembly election is set for 8th of October. And DD India correspondent Dibyendu Mondal is joining us from Jammu. Hi Dibyendu. Campaigning in full swing for third and final phase there. How are political leaders campaigning, Dibyendu? Tell us, and something new in the final phase this time around.
Well, Siddharth, absolutely. It's the final leg of the campaigning that's happening in Jammu and Kashmir. There was a three-phase election that was scheduled since the 18th of September, and which is on the 1st of October. We'll have the final phase of elections here in Jammu and Kashmir. Political parties are all gearing up and pushing in the last moment to garner more and more number of votes in their favor. Here in North Kashmir, where I am currently, it is direct contest between the NC, which is the party which is in alliance with the Congress here. And is contesting against the PDP of Mehbooba Mufti. So of course, interesting contest here because I have been talking to people here. They see a significant change after the abrogation of Article 370. The lives of the people have improved here after the abrogation of Article 370. So, of course, that will be a key agenda when people from Kashmir goes to vote in the last phase, and so was the case in all the, in fact, in both the first and the second phase as well. So, of course, interesting battles playing out in the important constituencies of North Kashmir, which includes the Gulmarg, Baramulla, Sopore, etc., where the elections are going to take place on the 1st. Today there was a big rally in Gulmarg by the National Conference's Umar Abdullah. Here, interestingly, of course, the BJP is not contesting. It's a direct contest between the NC and the PDP here. So the battle is intensified in most seats where the elections are happening in North Kashmir. The BJP is out of the fray, but in Jammu, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi also held a rally, the BJP's numbers are certainly going to increase from that of which the BJP got in 2014, because the people of Kashmir are generally, it seems that they have been very happy about the fact that there are more opportunities that are coming into the state. There are tourism that has increased over the last couple of years. So, of course, these are some of the key issues that will play, that have been playing, and of course will play out in the mind of the voters when they go to cast their vote on the 1st of October. Siddharth.
The way you are telling us, it seems like it's a do-or-die situation for the political leaders there, since it's the final leg. Just give it your best when it comes to campaigning. You also told us, Dibendu, that you had a word with people there. Since you had a word with them, can you tell us what are people in Jammu expecting from these elections? These elections certainly are very significant for various reasons.
Well, of course, this is an election that is coming after the abrogation of Article 370. So, of course, it's a very, very crucial election for all the political parties that are contesting here to test their waters. And, the BJP that has, that was instrumental in implementing the changes on ground after the abrogation of Article 370. And Siddharth, I've come to Kashmir after the abrogation for the first time. So, of course, I could see, and I had been here almost a decade back before
this.
What are the changes so I could see the visible changes on the ground. Well, of course, that's what I'm saying, that, there are visible changes on ground with respect to the infrastructure development, with respect to the people's confidence in the government, the people's confidence in the fact that there could perhaps be now new opportunities for them that could come into the valley and that could come in different parts of Kashmir, where I've been talking to a couple of youths yesterday evening near the Dal Lakes. Of course, they were very excited about the fact that, if at all, new investment opportunities do come into the state, it is the youth of Kashmir that will benefit. So, of course, these are some of the key interesting points that will, of course, play out in the minds of the voters, especially the youths, that when they go out to cast their vote on the 1st of October. So, the situation on ground is very different from what it had been 10 years or a decade back. So, of course, there is visible changes, visible improvement, both in the mindset of the people as well as in the infrastructural development of Kashmir. Siddharth.
Definitely, Dibendu, visible changes, of course. And one thing which I always say, from bullet to ballot, the transition has been incredible, especially after the abrogation of Article 370. But we leave it there as of now. Thank you so much, Dibendu. President Draupadi Murmu is in India's southern state of Telangana. The president graced the 21st convocation of Nalsar University of Law at Hyderabad. President Draupadi Murmu gave away gold medals to the students who performed excellence in academics. During her address, President Murmu called for need to work for social justice for marginalized sections and women's empowerment. She appreciated Nalsar to set up an animal law center.
I admire the efforts of Nalsar in taking care of issues concerning disability, access to justice, prison and juvenile justice and legal aid. I am happy to note that Nalsar has set up an animal law center. It reminds me of my tenure as the Minister of Department of Fisheries and Animal Resources Development in Orissa nearly 20 years ago. I expect the younger generations to protect animals and birds, trees and water bodies as necessities for well-being of the humanity. Nalsar's annual law center is a good step in that direction.
And the third India-Japan Education Conference was held at Cotton University in Guwahati on Saturday. The event was organized by the Indo-Japan Business Council and Capacity Building Center, Cotton University. The conference was attended by Union Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju and Assam Education Minister Ranoj Pegu, along with Japanese representatives. The event discussed education and employment of Indian youth in Japan as well as investment issues. Speaking on the occasion, Kiren Rijiju said that these initiatives will help Indian students to get career opportunities in Japan. He also added that the Northeast has full potential in terms of investment and skilled employees, and the Government of India is taking every possible step with the help of Act East policy.
The Northeast India has a great potential to attract investment and other support. And Japan is a perfect country to provide all the requirements for the Northeastern region. And Northeastern youth also can see their future towards Japan in many fields. Japan is one of the most important countries towards which we can create many other opportunities.
Let's take a look at other stories making news. India's Minister of State for Information and Broadcasting and Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. L. Murugan, participated in the Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam, One Tree in Mother's Name initiative at Doordarshan Kendra in Chennai today. The minister planted a sapling in honor of mothers at the DD Tamil TV station. And following this, he took the Swachhta Hi Seva, cleanliness is service pledge, and felicitated sanitation workers employed at this station. Officials from Doordarshan, Press Information Bureau, PIB, and All India Radio, AIR, were present at the event. In a tragic incident, 3 people were killed and 7 injured after a powerful explosion rocked a house in northern Indian city of Sonipat. Local authorities responded swiftly, revealing that materials used in firecrackers were found at the scene. Officials have called in the Forensic Science Laboratory team to investigate the cause. 3 bodies have been recovered and the injured have been rushed to the hospital. The Indian Meteorological Department has issued a high tide alert in Mumbai city as waves strike Marine Drive on Saturday following incessant heavy rainfall. In fact, the weather officials have also placed several districts in Maharashtra state, including Nandurbar, Jalgaon, Akola, Amravati and Buldhana under a yellow alert today. The maximum temperature is likely to reach 30 degrees Celsius, while the minimum will hover around 24 degrees Celsius. Heavy rains in India's central state Madhya Pradesh led to an increase in the water levels at Shipra River on Saturday. The river water has also entered into several temples located on the banks of the river. The weather officials have predicted an alert for heavy rain in the state. State Disaster Response Force and Home Guards have also been deployed at the ghats for the safety of the devotees. A landslide triggered by torrential rain struck an unauthorized gold mining operation in western Indonesia, killing at least 15 people. Dozens were reported missing as well. The disaster struck at a gold mine in West Sumatra province after heavy rains. Landslides, flooding and collapses of tunnels are just some of the hazards facing miners. Much of gold ore processing involves highly toxic mercury and cyanide, and workers frequently use little or no protection. As the search continues, officials are also evaluating the broader impacts of the landslide. Incessant rainfall across Nepal has pushed river levels to dangerous heights, affecting rivers from Arun in the east to Banaganga in west. Major rivers like Arun, Dudkoshi, Somkoshi and Bagmati have surpassed warning levels, with forecasts of more rain in next 24 hours. Authorities have opened sluice gates at the Kulekhani hydropower project, warning of potential flooding in surrounding rural municipalities. Meanwhile, all 56 gates of the Koshi barrage have been opened due to rising water level in the Saptakoshi river. Landslides have disrupted key highways and 58 homes were swept away by the floods in Makhwanpur. Rescue operations are underway and authorities have relocated those in high-risk areas as security forces remain on high alert. And in the US, the death toll from Hurricane Helene has risen to at least 44 as the powerful storm wreaked havoc across the southeastern states. Torrential flooding affected millions, with emergency crews launching extensive rescue operations. The hurricane made landfall as a Category 4 storm in Florida's Big Bend region on Thursday evening, devastating a small island community. Parts of Georgia faced flood warnings Friday afternoon after Hurricane Helene unleashed heavy rain across the state before moving towards Tennessee and the Carolinas. Initially striking Florida's Big Bend as a Category 4 hurricane, Helene was later downgraded to a tropical depression. Georgia Governor Office confirmed that at least 15 storm-related deaths as the state continued to grapple with the aftermath of powerful storm's northward path. Still to come on DD India NewsHour. Play on day 2 in Kanpur test between India and Bangladesh has been called off due to rain. Sand artist Sudarshan Patnaik made a sand sculpture of late legendary singer Lata Mangeshkar to pay tribute to her on her birth anniversary.
Global warming and climate change are political and ethical issues. They're issues of rights, of equality, and of justice. Let's take a look at some of these questions that surround the idea of climate justice.
We have to move to green energy, which is solar and wind and all others. And therefore, we cannot have such a large area for conservation of the GIB.
Art doesn't sort of hit you on the head and sort of make you feel defensive. It proposes, and then the viewer can take away an idea, a thought, and hopefully act on it to make a bit of a difference.
They had a show called Shubh Kal, and it was one of their oldest radio programs. So I used that show as my platform and started to work on creating content around climate change for this particular show.
You're watching DD India NewsHour. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. And Sweden, an important Nordic nation, shares long-standing close relations with India based on strong business, investment and focus on sustainability and more. Ambassador of Sweden to India, Jan Thasleff, in an exclusive conversation with DD India's Meghna Dev, speaks about progress of overall relations between the two nations. Listen in.
When we are looking at India and Sweden cooperation, especially when you have the theme of sustainability, where are we at in terms of these sustainable goals?
Actually, India and Sweden started the sustainability journey together quite a long time ago. We concluded in 2018 an innovation partnership that was concluded with your Honorable Prime Minister and our Prime Minister. And since then, there's been added many layers to that relationship. And we've had the maybe most outstanding example, it's the Lead It 2.0, which is the leadership group for industry transition. That was launched in Dubai at COP28, and that aims at reducing the emissions from the most heavy industries, the hard-to-abate industries, for example steel, for example cement.
We recently saw a Foreign Office consultation that was held. Where are we at? Where, when we read the readout of the Foreign Office consultation, we know about green batteries, green steel and much more. What are we talking about in this case? How are we going to implement it?
Actually, the Foreign Office consultations is taking stock of all the things that are happening and all the things we want to happen. So when it comes, for example, to the battery energy storage technologies, we have created a project, not only Sweden, but the Nordic countries. It's called BEST, Battery Energy Storage Technology. And we're having the first visit by this group of Nordic actors coming to India in November, coming to Delhi, coming to Bangalore and other places. And they are diving into, together with their Indian counterparts, the battery storage thing. Batteries is the important thing for the future.
Sweden has a history with India when it comes to the space sector. It has been participating in a number of space missions in India. How are you looking at the space cooperation moving forward?
I was there with the Deputy Minister in Bengaluru with ISRO. He didn't come alone. He came with a delegation of 11 companies, some of the big household names, but also some of the very innovative, cutting-edge companies. And they met with Indian counterparts. We had very good deliberations with ISRO. Sweden has already done our little share when it comes to previous mission, the Chandrayaan missions. We have contributed with technology, etc. We want to do that in the future also.
Time now for sport updates, and due to persistent rain, the play has been called off on day 2 of the second test between India and Bangladesh on Saturday at Green Park Stadium in Kanpur. The ground remained under covers throughout the day, and even though the super soppers came out in between, there wasn't much that the groundsmen could do to get some games started. Earlier on day 1, only 35 overs of play was possible due to bad weather after India put Bangladesh to bat first. Bangladesh finished the day at score of 107 runs for the loss of 3 wickets. And for India, Akash Deep struck twice to reduce Bangladesh to 29 for 2 before the visitors made a bit of recovery. R. Ashwin claimed the 3rd wicket of Bangladesh. Olympian Neeraj Chopra lit the lamp and inaugurated the National Conference on Mission Olympic 2036 journey from 7 to 70 medals at Sports University of Haryana in Sonipat Sarai on Friday. Neeraj Chopra openly answered questions from Sports University students, sharing his experiences while also emphasizing the need for more stadiums in country. Many dignitaries attended the conference, sharing their suggestions. After returning from the Paris Olympics, Neeraj Chopra participated in the conference for the first time and opened up on the javelin throw final at Paris.
जो पहला थ्रो था उससे बहुत ज़्यादा इफेक्ट होता है एथलीट का माइंडसेट भी, और जो भी उस दिन अच्छा थ्रो था मेरा पहला, जो मेरा फाउल हो गया. थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम हो रही थी, जो ट्रैक था वो नया था, जो कि मैंने कोशिश भी करी कि भाई थोड़ा रनवे जो मेरा होता है वो उसको आगे पीछे थोड़ा करूं ताकि मैं फाउल ना हूं. फिर भी मेरी पहली थ्रो फाउल होगी, जो कि अच्छी थी, 85 प्लस थी, कहीं बोल रहे 87 के करीब थी, जो भी है, लेकिन पहली थ्रो इतनी नप जाए तो अच्छा रहे. तो पहली थ्रो फाउल होगी, फिर उसके बाद थोड़ा सा वो हो जाता है क्योंकि 3 थ्रो तक हमको नपवानी पड़ेगी और कंपटीशन काफ़ी टफ था. तो बिल्कुल उसके बाद नदीम ने अच्छी थ्रो लगाई, फिर मेरी सेकंड थ्रो अच्छी निकली. उसके बाद फिर क्या हुआ कि कई बार हम बोलते हैं ना कि भाई जोश के साथ होश भी रखना चाहिए, तो उस दिन शायद मेरा होश नहीं था. उस दिन मैं जोश में बहुत ज़्यादा था, गुस्सा बहुत ज़्यादा कि मुझे करना है, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं वो जो टेक्निकल चीज़ें हैं वो छूट गई.
The Indian doubles pair of Trisa Jolly and Gayatri Gopichand exited the Macau Open Badminton Tournament following their loss in the women's doubles semi-finals on Saturday. Trisa Jolly and Gayatri Gopichand went down to the Chinese Taipei pair Hong and Zhu and Shei Pen Shan by 21-17, 16-21, 21-10 scoreline in an hour. The duo's loss also brought India's challenge in competition to an end. This marked the 3rd time that Hung and Shea have managed to knock out Trisa and Gayatri from a BWF World Tour tournament this year. International Federation of Association Football said that name of host cities for the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup will be announced on Saturday. The expanded club competition will be hosted in the United States and will run from June 15 to July 13, 2025, with the top 32 clubs from around the globe participating. FIFA plans to announce the host cities and stadiums from the Global Citizen Festival in New York on Saturday. The name of cities running to host matches in the tournament are Atlanta, Seattle, Miami, Orlando, and East Rutherford in New Jersey as well. Well, Argentina goalkeeper Emiliano Martinez has been suspended for 2 matches by FIFA for offensive behavior. Martinez will miss Argentina's next South American qualifiers for the 2026 World Cup against Venezuela and Bolivia in October. The Aston Villa goalkeeper has been suspended over incidents in matches against Chile and Colombia earlier this month. In the Chile game, Martinez celebrated by making a lewd gesture with the trophy. After the loss to Colombia, the 32-year-old hit a local television camera. In India's Odisha, sand artist Doordarshan made a sand sculpture of late legendary singer Lata Mangeshkar to pay tribute to her on her birth anniversary. The nation is remembering the Nightingale of India, Lata Mangeshkar, on her 95th birth anniversary today. Born in 1929 in Indore city, Mangeshkar's melodious contributions spanned over 7 decades, making her an irreplaceable figure in the realm of playback singing. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.